Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of Kill James Bond.
Bonus.
It's time for another Q&A. No, we're not doing that. We're not imitating a worse podcast.
Yeah, in
They
the
can
Kill James
imitate
Bond
us.
extended universe.
Also, I'm not doing my
that's-
sexy voice on the pod. It would destroy the listeners' fragile ears.
That's true. That is true.
It's time for another Q&A. You have Qs, and occasionally we'll A them.
That's right. It's Q&A number 7.
Good lord.
007.
We've A'd another Q. We've A'd a lot of Qs.
One Q
but
per
it's
episode.
That's right. But it's been a while since anyone's queued us, and so now it's time for us to do it again. So Dev, I believe you have the master list of questions.
Yes, yeah, I've got them all.
I commend this episode into your hands.
Oh no.
Alice and I are ready to face the panel of inquiry.
That's
Indeed,
right.
Question
it's
one:
right.
what do you think about when you jack off?
9/11.
9/11.
9/11. So
He, him, lesbians.
So it's time to cue some fucking A's. Let's start off with a nice, easy one here. It has been a hot second since we last did this. So Bronze Thumb asks, how are you? How's it going? Been up to much?
Yeah, pretty good actually. I got very into film photography since the last Q&A, and then as is my problem with all of my hobbies, I immediately got Dev into film photography.
Yeah.
So Abby, you are next if you want to get an East German or Soviet film camera and a bunch of 35mm film.
No, photography is for nerds. I have been very clear in this stance. I belong in front of the camera, not behind it.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is deeply funny to me when you're talking about like the East German stuff, because the quote I believe you said directly, where you're like, yeah, the like GDR and the pre-GDR have some really good cameras. Like yeah, the pre-GDR, the period of German history, just before.
Yeah, the pre-DR. What's also really funny is that I mentioned this hobby of mine on Twitter, and someone, I wish I could remember who, said, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea. The Soviet Union made amazing lenses. They did also make cameras. So
that's my understanding.
Yeah, I really admire the GDR and the USSR's policy of having one prestige industry, and that industry being optics. Like there's one thing, there's one factory that still works, and it makes the camera lenses, and they still work today. I'm still using them. Went out and took some photos on the way to my vaccination appointment. Found out my vaccination appointment was cancelled because the NHS is falling apart. Still got some photos out of it. Shot 2 rolls. Beautiful.
Gorgeous. 2 rolls.
Abby, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm working on a number of projects that I can't really talk about publicly. Mainly because they involved killing named individuals. No, I'm working on like some TV stuff that I can't talk about, but it's very exciting. But like the nature of the acting industry is that it's all like, yeah, sure, like yeah, maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that, and like 5% of it ever happens. So on the one hand, I'm very excited, but I also know I need to be realistic. And I have a meeting tomorrow, which will potentially be like quite a big deal. Because I need to meet with the people who financed my play. By the way, listeners, that's kind of the big thing that happened in my life is I put on a play in London, and I won an Off West End award. I'm an award-winning playwright. I won an Offie.
Oh, congratulations!
Which is fucking insane. For your debut play to like sell out and get standing ovations and win an Offie, like it's ridiculous. So I'm still kind of enjoying that and trying to like turn that into like the next thing. Also, the next episode of Philosophy Tube films in like 4 days. We're going to be filming over 2 days. It's a double-length episode about the NHS, which is going to be like very rewarding and I think very exciting and cool, but also like emotionally very big because it's going to be more personal than episodes usually like to be. I think by the time this podcast comes out, it may already be out or just about to come out, but like, yeah, it's going to be a lot.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I also forgot. I have a secret project myself, which is something connected to a leisure problem that you will not probably hear about for a year.
I know this.
Yeah, there's fucking rules.
So
if
cool.
it comes off, it may well not. However, if it does, watch this space in a year's time.
Stay
Watch
tuned.
this space, but like you can like watch other things as well. Like
Yeah. You don't have to hold your attention for that long. Just keep a sort of maybe set a reminder in your phone for like a year's time to be like check in with Alice, see what happens.
It's just feel free to touch that dial. Whatever. Just come back at some point.
In Q&A 14, I'm fully prepared to answer what the thing is.
Wonderful. I actually haven't really been up to a great deal. I've just sort of been shooting about the place. Throughout summer, I trekked all over the UK and had a lovely time. Seen the whole thing now. Sort of done with it. Family holiday in the Lake District. I came up to Edinburgh for the Fringe briefly. I was over in Aberystwyth. I keep going back and forth to Cardiff for specific reasons.
Nice.
Nice. Hell yeah. Hell yes. Erin Atlas asks, Abby, do you feel more prepared to face the chimp now that you've had some sword practice?
Yes, I do actually. I am. So, listeners, this is a reference to the fact that the chimp who stalks us always, but also the fact that during my play I had to do a whole bunch of sword fighting. Yeah, I did. My forearms and my thighs and my ass are more muscular now than they were when we started. I'm sure that'll fade in time, but I had to have 3 or 4 sword fights in every show, and obviously rehearse it a lot too. So at the start of the rehearsal period, I was like, oh god, this big steel sword is so heavy, and by the end I was like waving it around with one hand. So yeah, I've definitely gotten a little bit stronger. I do feel more ready to face the chimp, though. I think the chimp counts on us being arrogant, and like hubris has been the downfall of many a mighty warrior. So I'm not gonna count myself totally safe, but I'm more
the real enemy. The real enemy isn't the chimp. The real enemy is complacency.
That's right.
But also, crucially, the chimp.
Yeah, the chimp is very much your enemy.
Oh, real,
and your enemy.
Very real.
But the complacency is, I think, the biggest thing. David S. I've got a couple of questions that are somewhat like this, so I might... Yeah, actually, I'll go with HJ's question first. Now that you've been doing this a while, are there any movies that you covered earlier that you'd like to go back and do again, either because we think we maybe skipped over it, or...
Yeah, the one that we just recorded where I lost an argument over the entire length of the episode. I'd quite like a do-over on that one. To just go back.
No, it was about 9/11.
Listen, I don't think that's a very sort of a healthy question for me, because the second I shut off every recording of this, I always have a great deal of fun while I'm doing it. The second I hit stop and I hang up the call, I just go, I am Earth's worst podcaster.
That's
everything that I did, and also everything that I didn't do in the course of the last hour, has been wrong. And anyone in the world could have done a better job than me. So my answer is pretty much all of them. I'm happy with some of them that people have liked, in the sense that they've gotten acclaim. I always think you two do an amazing job. But in terms of rating my own work, I don't really.
There was one episode that we were gonna do at one point, and we had a guest lined up, but the guest had to drop out after all 3 of us had watched the film. So it was like
betrayal.
It was an aborted episode that we never got to make, and I do wish that we had made that, and we will have to make it at some point. But yeah, I want to do that, the forbidden episode, the lost episode.
The lost episode. That is true. I would happily do Dr. No again at some point, either as a special or as a live show, to just do Dr. No again. Because we kept it to a tight hour, and we
should not have done.
We could have gone so long.
Yeah,
that fucking movie.
That was back in the days when we were trying to make the podcast has to be an hour long.
Yes, yeah. I was trying to be more sort of disciplined, more Riley mode about it, and I'm glad to have lost that habit in that sense.
Yeah, now we've sort of found our own voice and our own little niche. It could be nice to go back and redo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you may recall, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, that my original sort of semi-joking plan when we ran out of Bonds was to just do them over again without rewatching, just off of the same notes.
That is unbelievably funny as nice. Yeah, I think so.
And the thing is, the longer we wait the funnier it gets.
Yeah.
Because if we go back to Dr. No with the only thing that we remember of it as a set of notes we made 2 years ago or something, that's going to be hysterical.
Yeah, I would have to dig out my old notebook.
I've thrown it away. How could we go to blind? I don't have my old notebook. I got
You'll
rid of
sit
it.
down on the stage and
remembering
go,
it.
Fuck.
Tell me,
James
does
Bond?
the toppling of American missiles really make up for having no hands?
But somebody needs to have the correct answers.
No.
Yeah, one of us. Actually,
Nate.
yeah, one of us.
We should have the fourth person should be Nate, who has the
Just like that is not what happened.
Wrong.
Yeah,
He's got a big buzzer that's like the extremely loud, incorrect noise.
Yeah.
Every time we fuck us,
it's like a charity thing. Every time we get it wrong, we have to give more. But
That's
yeah, I
actually really
think
good idea.
I wouldn't mind going back and doing some of the early ones again. If I could, I would go back and like finish voice training and then start the podcast. But it's not. That's just a vanity thing more than anything.
That's reasonable. A similar question from David S, who says, if you were to redo the earlier episodes, what drops from later episodes do you think would get the most use? Which I quite like.
That's a
'cause
good question.
The drops is
That's
such like a
really good
collection that we've got over time.
Yeah. We've really built them up over time. There's a bunch of places in which I could have used any of the like my wife ones, right? Like, particularly the bit in fucking From Russia with Love, where Vavra just adopts James Bond, like you are now his son.
I remember that.
Yeah, fuck, I do remember that.
Pulled out a character name from Russia.
Yeah,
with Love?
Vavra, the guy.
What?
Because I have all of the drops right here, and it's.
Ravada thanks you for saving his life. You are now his son.
Kerim Bey, what a classic! What a classic lad.
We could 100% have used the Diamonds Are Forever. Well, you know what I'm gonna say. We could have used
L, Mr. Bond.
L, Mr. Bond is
so often.
I think the Elliot Carver kung fu noises could have come in a couple times too.
Yeah, that's true.
I love our drops, man. They're so good.
They really do make
100%.
the podcast. Like.
Will you commit to this program?
Yes.
Seems you've passed.
What's curious is that like there's some of them where the drops just fully did not work because I fucked up the levels. You may remember Casino Royale. The drops are like, because everyone's really so fucking quiet in that movie, the drops in Casino Royale are almost useless. Like I have one of Eva Green saying perfectly formed ass that sounds like this.
Perfectly formed ass.
Like, what?
So quiet.
Whispering
What?
it. Huh? Fair enough. Rob Way asks, do you miss having the 25 plus episode roadmap that you had with the Bond movies?
No, I enjoy hanging out with my friends, and I like having a bit of structure. I have loose plans for sort of arcs that I want to take the podcast on. I think I've talked before about my plans at some point to do something that I like to call robbery season. That I'm very much looking forward to. Right now, we've got a whole other series set up. And the thing about movies is they keep fucking making series of them. So after The Man from U.N.C.L.E., we've got Mission Impossible, we've got Indiana Jones, we've got any number of things that we can really dig into. And the thing about Bond is we did the fucking job. You know, mission accomplished.
He's dead.
So what you like about it, he is fucking dead. So I don't feel anything like, oh god, when are they going to do the next one? If anything, I'm sort of a bit more apprehensive about that.
Yeah. Although we will get to claim back the tickets to go and see it as a business expense. That'll be good. I like having a series because it allows us to develop running jokes across the course of the series, like Jason Bourne being raised by fishermen and will you commit to this program?
The chimps,
The fisherman joke like had the sort of like least payoff for a bit that I started out expecting higher.
I really wanted it to
That's
come
the nature
back,
of
but he just
podcasting.
didn't do anything fish related.
Yeah,
No, and we were watching the whole time.
Oh,
This is a
100%.
There's a little bit of like hashtag BTS. Whenever we watch these movies, we're looking out for potential bits.
Oh, yeah.
And let me tell you, that stood out as a potential bit very strongly. The
Yeah.
fact that he was raised by French-Italian fishermen, and he just doesn't fucking pick it up.
Yeah,
ever.
other than the bit where he swims away at the end of the third one, and we got in a joke
Mhm.
that he returns to the sea, but like, yeah. Jason Spawn.
Jason Spawn.
But yeah, like I think the best recurring bit from the Jason Bourne series was just the fucking theme music because they keep.
That's what I was thinking of.
reusing it.
Yeah, the fucking like Moby at the end.
Yeah, and the-
It's perfect. That's so good.
I have a personal favorite from the Bourne franchises, which is
Give me some eyeballs on the street.
Yeah, there
Give
you
me
go.
eyeballs on the street.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
that's my favorite. Although I think
the
we
bin man.
discount
Oh, the bin man.
Oh, the bin man.
exactly. We just count the bin man.
Oh.
I was in the flat with Mrs. X last week when friend of the show Mrs. X when the bin lorry went past and we both just went, oh, the bin man.
We've also had
American as well. Like
You come to the UK and see a bin lorry and point at it like Leo DiCaprio. Just like, oh
saluting
my
it.
god, it's the bins.
we've also of course had a lot of use for hack, tap, bypass, and
Yeah.
of course
CIA clowns.
CIA clowns.
yeah. So I think the Bourne franchise served us quite well coming off of Bond.
Definitely.
As like a way to like prove to ourselves that we could pick it up with a new franchise and just do quite well with it. I'm very happy.
I was very happy with the Bourne ones. I'm happy with the Jack Ryan ones. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Miss Harrison
The thing
Ford a
is-
lot though. I gotta
I
be honest.
do.
He was the best one of them.
Actually, I prefer Alec Baldwin. I think it never really reached the heights of Hunt for Red October.
I think
true.
I think my favorite Jack Ryan one we did was I think it probably tied Air Force One and what was the Clear and Present Danger, the drugs one.
Oh
There's
my
just some
god,
fucking
Clear and Present
great
Danger was
jokes
really
in
good
that.
episode.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
liked that one.
I think we all just did a great job there.
Yeah.
So, Hoob. This is something that we've done previously, but Hoob asks, maybe a bit basic, could we get retroactive endowments of the newly minted awards, which are, of course, the Brian Cox Memorial for Intelligence and the Oldman Medal of Unrefuted Villainy. Which is
Oh
something
yes. So there's only been one of those so far that went to
Yep.
Gary Oldman.
Well, that's a bunch of Bond villains who deserve the Oldman medal, right? Because like every so often they'll just be like, "Oh, that's actually a pretty good point." I mean, I think I want to say Hugo Drax actually should get the Gary Oldman, the Brian Cox Memorial Award in Intelligence because he basically tells Bond his entire plan,
That's
like
true.
day one.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I perversely I would award I would award it to Bond a couple of times, particularly in Tomorrow Never Dies,
Mhm.
where he goes to Elliot Carver's party and goes, "My name is James Bond. I'm a British agent. Here's
Yeah,
what
he's
I'm
constantly
investigating."
winning the fucking Brian Cox Award. He's year on year. He's the recurring champ. I would give the unrefuted villainy to Chaka from Salem, who is correct about taking revenge.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's fine. You're wrong, but that's fine. Revenge is a river. Do I have anyone?
Yeah, and I have a boat.
Yeah, they were in a boat at the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't go well for him. Very well. Very well. Okay, sure. All right. Hypothetically, the Kill James Bond movie gets greenlit.
Yeah, it's called Casino Royale 1967.
That's right. Who?
Yeah. Now the time of my day that I prepare for Debussy.
That's right. Who are we getting in? Director, scriptwriter, main cast. I don't want to play myself. I think it'd be funny to have someone else play me.
It's a movie about us, not a film that... Okay.
Well, I mean, I suppose we get creative control over it. But
So basically, who do you want to like play yourself and your co-hosts? Who do you want to direct?
Okay, interesting.
That's that's a really difficult.
I'm trying to think what the
question,
plot
actually.
for the KJ movie. I think it'd be funny if it was about like us specifically.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're gonna have to cut out about a minute and a half and be going like,
Eddie Redmayne?
Let's give him another shot at it.
Yeah.
give him a go. Give him a go.
God, let's try.
I'm genuinely trying to think, like, are there any trans actresses in my casting who could conceivably play me, and I'm like,
I
I don't know any
just-
because I have eliminated them all. Is the thing.
I think it would be funny to have it directed by Michael Mann. That's my only real sort of qualm. I don't really care about casting, but I do think you should give it to him, and I think he should direct it, and he should have script supervision.
Absolutely.
Remember that time we got in that massive gunfight in the middle of downtown Los Angeles?
I remember this when this happened to us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
I
we
don't
might
know
have
who
to
I would
come
want to
through
play
that one.
either of you two or me, though. That's a difficult question. Write in if you have any suggestions, listeners.
But Eddie Redmayne, all three.
Eddie Redmayne
It's
for
like
all of
Kind
us,
Hearts and Coronet.
Yeah. Or the Nutty Professor.
Yeah, it's like Norbert. except Eddie Redmayne is playing all three of us.
Yeah. Norbert really the sort of the thinking man's Kind Hearts and
I want to
Coronet.
go Tom Hardy
No.
as Death.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I could
Mhm.
buy that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Have to grow some hair
Um,
and then dye it, but I could, I believe it.
Jason
You could do
Momoa.
that, I'm
stuff.
sure.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
fun, yeah.
Um,
Are there any Alices out there? Does anyone look a bit like me? I think generally they're trying to make actresses prettier than that, but
Odd suggestion, but Olivia Colman?
Lena
I mean,
Sado.
yeah, sure.
I don't know, is she edgy
the-
enough? Maybe not. Maybe not.
The thing about me, right,
Gillian
is that,
Anderson.
like Olivia Colman, I am also 47 to 50 something years old.
Well, fucking Eddie Redmayne's older than any of us, and so is Jason Momoa. Like,
Pure wishful thinking. Anna Chancellor.
yeah.
Yeah.
For the, to portray me in after the period of my life where I get facial Anna Chancellorization surgery.
That's right. The reverse Roman nose surgery.
FACS,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very well. So we got a couple of people were like, first of all, thank you for cracking my egg. Very kind of you. Would you like to pay for my
anytime.
NHS bills? Because
It's our
fuck's sake.
specialty.
And the
It's
answer
a,
to that is
it's a
no.
service that we provide. That's not a service that we provide.
We'll crack the egg, but you have to deal with it afterwards.
You gotta clean it up.
Sorry. But someone did ask, Tin Roof, I believe is what this translates as.
Tin Roof.
Tin Roof
Rusted.
asks, do you have any advice for trans people in the general area of choosing a name? Especially if you want it to be cool.
So what you want to do is you want to go through the list and then you want to get scared, stick at the first page, and just pick something out of the A's.
Yeah, A's are really strong.
Or flip to the
at
back and call yourself Zoe. Yeah, I know like 5 Alices and 3 Zoes. And
yeah, there are like
I-
5 names that you're allowed to have as a trans woman, as far as I'm
I get
aware.
asked this a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And I would say one thing you should not do is you should not name yourself after a transgender influencer that you really respect. Do not do that, because I've known people who do that, and then the influencer that you named yourself after gets cancelled, and then you get in a lot of trouble. So I'm not going to name any names, but that has happened.
You can name yourself after a historical figure, providing they are like long dead.
Mhm. Yeah, don't name
You could-
yourself after anyone who's currently famous, especially trans people, because they will get cancelled.
Oh yeah,
Character
never
in
do
a
that.
novel.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
I knew that I wanted my name. I sort of sensed that it should have 3 syllables because I wanted it to be Thorn, because that's quite a good rhythm to it.
Yeah.
And also, one thing I liked about my dead name is that it also had 3 syllables. And I kind of felt that I wanted it to start with A. And for a little while, I was like, is it Adelaide? No, I don't think so. It's maybe something close to that. And genuinely, I was just doing the dishes one day and I was just like looking out the window, and it's almost seemed to come down out of the sunlight on a Sunday morning. I was like, oh, my name's Abigail. Abby. That's who I am. It kind of chose
you give a
me,
drop
really.
for that, Dev.
Hello, my name's Abigail. Exactly. That's what happened. Yeah.
Hove interview. You're like, holy shit, Abby, that's it.
It just happened.
I chose my name out of sort of like lack of imagination. So I'm not going to shock anyone here by dead naming myself, I hope. But my dead name is Alex,
Ooh.
right? No. Leave that in because it's important.
Yeah.
So like I genuinely was like, maybe I'll just keep it. I'll lop the under off the end of it, or maybe change it to like Alexandra, right? But like I kind of like it as a like neutral kind of like non-binary thing. And then I was like, no, because first of all, I worry I'm I'm like too binary for this. And second of all, I want to know when people are fucking dead naming.
Mm-hmm.
This turned out to be a lot less important than I thought it would, because you could tell in other ways. And so now I don't know, it's part of my brand now, but I genuinely think about changing my name again every like
To
few
Penny
weeks
Mordaunt.
or so. Well, I mean,
There are a number of names that you floated, all of which I've gone, yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
Like, I would
yeah,
happily-
because they're all sick nasty.
Yeah.
Because I just pick names that I think sound like a sort of like international super spy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's
Alexa
no reason.
Strap-on.
There's no reason why you can't be called Alexa Strap-on. There's no reason
Yeah.
why you can't be called Ariadne Vesper. You know,
Yeah.
there's
Again,
no
all
law
A's.
against that. Yeah, or you know, just
Yeah,
like
Katie
I
type
enjoy
pussy,
the.
things of this nature.
Yeah, for sure. I
Abigail
enjoy the
Ford?
concept of. I enjoy the concept of like names that are like virtue names, like I don't know, charity or fucking
Yeah,
Chastity?
chastity, temperance.
chastity, temperance, honor, all the things I don't have. You know, so
It would be funny, yeah.
maybe.
This reminds me of a while ago. I was chatting to somebody I won't name, but a theatre director. I had to chat to a lot of these people who are like older, very established industry people who are just now kind of like learning what transgender shit is, and they sometimes ask a lot of basic questions that are very boring. But he asked me, he said, "Do people ever call you he? Do you ever get like misgendered?" And I said, "No, it doesn't usually happen, and if it does, it only happens once." I just
gets
let him
one.
sit with that for a moment. And he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay."
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. So watch this space. Maybe, I don't know. But in terms of picking your own name, I guess the lesson I would derive from that is that it's okay to get it like wrong. It's okay to not like your name because you can change it. It's a bit of a hassle, but like you can be whatever you want whenever you want. And that sounds like a fucking like sticker you put up in like a sort of hipster coffee shop, but it is true.
It is true.
You can just do
I
whatever.
mean, Devon was not my first pick. I mean, when I was experimenting with what my presentation would be, I considered being full femme for a while. For like a year, I wanted to be called Danny.
I remember that arc. Yeah.
And then I went back to my dead name for a while for personal reasons. Because essentially I was like, oh, I'm non-binary, and I told my then fiance about it, and I received a particularly bad response. It was like, okay, I'm cis again, don't worry about it. And that lasted for about a year before everything became a little too much. But then when I went back to 100% femme, I briefly weighed up being called Brooke, because I thought Brooklyn would be a fucking sick name.
That is a sick name,
but then
actually.
I sort of came to the sort of mononym stuff kind of by accident, because I was a teacher when I came out as non-binary, or for the second more final time came out as non-binary. And having my surname be publicly available would be a problem for me. So I chose to go just by my first name, sort of to protect myself from having my tweets shown to my like supervisors, and it's just stuck. I really enjoy Devon as like a strong singular word.
Yeah,
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when who was it who wrote that piece about the podcast, that interview piece, and it was just like Abigail Thorne, Alice Caldwell Kelly, and Devon brackets. They're just Devon.
That was really good. It's still my favorite thing is the what was it? The
fucking
Rainbow
Bond
Honors.
James Bond joke where we opened the show with, where it's like I think we did like Caldwell Kelly,
yeah.
Alice Caldwell
Yeah, it was
Kelly,
really good.
Thorne, Abigail Thorne.
It's like, I'm Devon.
Oh, Devon. Oh yeah, that was the first joke we did. Oh
Yeah, I was in like the reveal trailer for the podcast. It's
yeah.
so good. Yeah, no, I'm very happy with Devon, as you may have noticed if you've seen any photos of me wearing a big
The Devon jacket?
with
I love the
Devon
Devon
on it like
jacket.
100 times. And I have some more clothing that I'm looking to do that with. So watch that space for the Devon 2023 collection.
I mean, that is really the ultimate goal, right? Is the fucking streetwear atelier.
Yeah, that
that
is
branches out. That's
the end of my
yeah.
arc. Is to stop being non-binary and just become a brand.
Transitioning to become a woman and then transitioning to become a company is
That's
exactly
right.
what I did. Yeah.
CEO of me, baby. Charlotte Miller asks, what is your favorite weird-looking gun used in a movie?
Whitney Wolverine. I'll chase down what movie it's been used in, but that's my favorite weird-looking gun. If anyone wants to fucking Google that right now, a Whitney Wolverine.
Oh, that is fucking weird looking. I got two
Also,
answers.
a great name if you're transgender, by the way.
Yeah, Whitney Wolverine.
fuck.
Holy shit! All
Whitney
right, going back to the
Wolverine?
previous
All right.
question.
Whitney Wolverine, top
changing the-
0.3% on OnlyFans.
Call yourself Whitney Wolverine.
I'm now strongly considering this. Fuck. Okay. Shit.
That would be so sick to call yourself after a gun. That's fucking sick.
Because I got the unconventional curves.
Very well done.
Very
Space
good.
age construction.
I got two answers. From ones we've watched, Mr. Hinks's fucking double pistol.
Oh,
Yeah,
the fucking
fuck.
Arsenal Firearms
pull.
AF 2011.
Good pull.
Yeah.
It's the funniest fucking guy because they never draw attention to it either. He just happens to have it. So
I think I'm going to concur with you there, actually, Dev.
And then from one that we haven't watched, I watched Escape from New York last night, and within that movie, Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken has a Mac 10 with a massive suppressor and a scope mounted
Hell
to the
yeah.
suppressor. It's
Hell
the funniest
yeah.
fucking gun in the world. It's so good.
I really like the long barrel Uzi carbine from Clear and Present Danger that we made fun of, where there's one guard on the roof who just has like a regular Uzi, but the barrel is twice the length of it.
the really long revolver from...
I was just going to say that Captain
Zara.
Love has in Zara, because that is a real weapon that he just uses it in the wrong way and therefore looks like a dipshit.
It's fucking sick. It's
I remember
so
on
good.
Django, we had some of those as props, because like you are meant to really use them, but you're meant to use them like mounting them on a saddle.
But you're just like having these two massive... Oh, that's so funny. Jordan Lamb asks, of the various spy organizations from the movies you've watched, which do you think you'd enjoy working for the most?
That is a good question.
The Bourne one that just dunks on the CIA and exists to fuck with them.
The second
National
CIA.
Research, the National Research Assay Group.
Yeah.
That one. I think that's my answer.
I'm trying to think which of the various Jason Bourne Professor Chimp programs would be the most fun
God,
to
there were
commit
like
to, because
10
there are
of
like a
those
whole
fucking-
bunch.
Abby, your answer is Whoop. Clearly.
Oh my god, yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
Fucking whoop. Mine's the OSS from Sunset. I think it's funny.
Oh yeah, they're really
Great
funny.
vibes in there. Everyone knows each other's first name.
I wouldn't want to work for the Spy Kids agency. I imagine that gets grating.
No,
that's
yeah,
junior.
you're totally right. I'm gonna go
imagine
work
working for the fucking. Imagine working for the dog or the cat intelligence agencies.
Spectre seems like it's like I'm gonna get killed if I stay here long. You guys don't really understand what it's all like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
well.
Spectre's not a good one to work for. I mean, they've got...
Working for MI6, even worse.
I wouldn't know.
Moving on.
That is still funny. It's still. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
There's enough
No,
distance
it's
from it now
so
that we can talk
funny.
about it now.
It's so
It
funny.
is still extremely funny that people accused me of working for the CIA and for the royal family. Like, it's so fucking funny.
What even was the
Especially
origin
because,
of that?
like, I'm not gonna give them the fucking
Okay.
credit, but like it's also extremely funny that like one of the major origins of that has now been like totally destroyed as a sex pest and like a total creepy weirdo. It's like, yeah, that's what happens.
Sun Tzu
Legit-
said, if you wait by a river long enough,
Yeah.
eventually the bodies of your enemies will float by.
Yeah,
That's fucking
Yeah,
right.
That's the philosophy tube jutsu, baby. Never say anything bad about anyone, and on a long enough timeline, your enemies will cancel themselves. But it is still extremely funny that they said that, and that some people still believe that, despite the fact that I, like, in the next episode of Philosophy Tube, explained exactly what the project was and why it wasn't that. But yeah, very, very funny.
So funny. So good. Vince B asks, what's a favourite movie of yours that's too good to ever watch on Kill James Bond?
The Duke of Burgundy. I'm sure I've referenced this in a Q&A before, but the Duke of Burgundy is my sort of shakedown date movie for like whether or not I'm like sort of emotionally compatible with someone, is whether or not they get that movie. It's also too horny. I don't know. I think it's probably too lesbian even for us. But it's one of my favorite movies. I highly recommend it, but I don't think we could record a podcast about it.
There are, I think, like probably the original or the extended edition of Lord of the Rings are films that I really like and really enjoy, but wouldn't really fit the tone of the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, probably those, I would say.
It's a really good call. I don't know if I have one. all of my favorite movies I have brought to the podcast at this point, I think. Apart from my favorite movie of all time, which is Big Trouble in Little China, which is just one of the best films ever.
I have another favorite dyke-ass movie that I'm not sure we could really get much out of, which is The Handmaiden. Another
That's
favorite
true.
movie.
That's true.
But like, all it would be an hour of me crying. You know,
Castaway.
Some people might pay for. But.
Castaway is. I mean, maybe there is something to be said about Castaway, because that was a film that used to
giant
mean
advert for FedEx.
Yeah, but also that film used to mean quite a lot to me for like masculinity reasons. So I think
that's why I have that beach ball.
Yeah. No, but I just the idea of like being stuck on an island alone. The idea of like being dedicated to like order and like keeping time. I think we might be able to do that on the podcast, but it could be a bit of a stretch.
Well, Howard Rees asks if we weren't looking at masculinity in film, do we have any other like alternate ideas or themes that we would want to explore?
Well, I mean, it's a podcast about James Bond. James Bond has themes beyond just masculinity. Those are things that like tie into masculinity. I think it's a podcast about empire. It's a podcast about imperialism. I think in large part it's a podcast about Britishness at times. And it's also a podcast about violence. Now, all of those things are tied into masculinity. They're not exclusive to it. As we see with, people who manage to do all of those while retaining their femininity, like Penny Mordaunt. So yeah, no, I think there's a lot of scope for stuff that like in the world with no men, right? I think we would still have a podcast.
That would be an interesting world.
I think Jane Bond would be impossible to sort of like do counterfactuals like this, but would be a much weirder vibe. But
in the world with no men, we would become like the Giver, because we'd be the only people who like really knew.
Yeah, that's true. If we were like fucking isekai'd tomorrow into a world that like had no men in it, and like I don't know.
And I hate it when I get isekai'd.
Yeah,
this happens to me so often.
Would hate to pass into the anime realm.
Oh, it's so I'm getting hit by trucks all the time.
Depends on the anime.
Stop crossing these roads.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I should say the obvious one, the thing that our secret enemy, the thing that we confront in every episode,
9/11.
Capitalism.
Oh,
9/11.
Yeah, 9/11.
Genuinely, I do think a podcast about like 9/11 would be good. Like all media that is about 9/11. But then actually it already existed.
American Psychosis. I don't know.
It's Lindsay Ellis did like a whole fucking series about it. I can't remember the name of.
Well, I mean, we on More There's a Problem, we do an episode on 9/11 every year, roughly on 9/11.
Yeah,
somewhere near.
Never forget.
Around about 9/11. Very well. Okay. What's something? What's a nice light one? Yeah.
No, give me a heavy one. I'm ready for it. I can take it. I'm still thinking about alternate names, but I'm not in a tailspin here. I'm keeping it together.
No,
I'm really enjoying this big fluffy white turtleneck that I got. The listeners, you can't see this, but it's
it
very
does
cool.
fucking go.
Thank you. I feel like fucking. What was the name of the girl in Day of the Condor with her like old fashioned shit?
Yeah, spy fucker.
Yeah. Can always count on the old spy fucker. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. I feel like a 70s
right
70s babe.
It always depend on the old spy fucker.
There you go.
Yeah. I genuinely like you two always have like much better fashion than I do.
That is not true.
That's not true.
The other night you were fucking banging in that like big like red and black thing with the boots. Incredible.
Yeah, no, that went off. That was fucking good. Right now I'm wearing an oversized t-shirt.
I haven't even fucking shaved today.
Listen, one of us has the camera.
Yeah, me neither.
And it's me. Question.
Hazen asks, go on, fuel the parasocial frenzy. What were your biggest young adult literature obsessions? We've all heard about Abby and Cherub.
Ooh.
Were any of you Twihards, John Greenstands?
Twihards?
No.
More of a Songlands and Fire type?
Okay, so I read the Harry Potter books. They didn't mean that much to me. What I did get really into for a while was, and I think I mentioned this in the episode, the Alex Rider books.
Yeah,
I also read all of those.
I read a few of those.
Yeah, read I think almost all of those. Artemis Fowl, another big one.
Shit, I think I read the Artemis Fowl ones as well.
It's normal to be named after a girl if you're smart enough. And fucking younger than this. So like this was kind of like way younger, like preteen. But there was one book that like still sticks in my head. It was called fucking Harry and the Ring Thief, I want to say.
I love that book. I read it till it fell apart when I was a little kid. I love that.
Genuinely same. I really love the like cover art. It's about a kid who gets sent to stay with his two aunts who are like con artists and criminals.
Yeah.
It's really genuinely very fun. So that's an abiding sort of like YA thing for me. Also Discworld.
Discworld's
which
right up there.
Never got into Discworld. Never read it.
Really? I think you'd
a lot of people
really
have said
enjoy
this to
it.
me,
Yeah, I think you'd have a good time with it.
I read the first Cherub book. I didn't read the series. I read a little bit of Alex Rider, but my big thing was the Aragon series. I was big into that as a mid-teenager. I think part of what got me into it was I like the kind of dragons and the fantasy stuff, but also Christopher Paolini, the guy who wrote it, he wrote the first one when he was 17, and I was like, oh yeah, like I could be a writer too, like, and I am now a writer.
Award-winning playwright.
Thank you. That was something that really got me going. It was like, oh, like he started when he was just a little bit older than me, and like I could write something good like this too. But I really enjoyed that series. The evil dragon in the second one, who is forced to be evil and forced to be very macho and violent against his will, is called Thorn. Make of that what you will. I really enjoyed that series. I thought the ending was like, basically I kind of aged out of it by the time the ending book came out. But I did read all of them and I did enjoy it. And then as an adult now, I go back and I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of just like Star Wars, but with elves and dragons. It's kind of if you took Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and smashed them into each other. But I did really enjoy it, and like I would, if Christopher Paolini, if you're out there, come on the show. Like, and also thank you for writing those books. I really enjoyed them as a teen.
I have a couple of others. I was really into Caroline Lawrence's Roman Mysteries series about like the fucking like mystery solving Roman children. And there's another one that I forget. She actually signed a bunch of books for me, so I know.
I really enjoyed a Michael Morpurgo book called Kensuke's Kingdom.
Oh yeah,
which was about a kid who got stuck on an island with a Japanese war veteran. That was cool. And also, was it also Michael Morpurgo who wrote Rag Boy?
I think so.
Might have been. But I really enjoyed Rag Boy. It was about a kid in the late 1800s who finds a mermaid washed up on the beach. So it's about a young boy child who suddenly discovers a powerful source of femininity that he has to keep secret away from all the people who will take it away from him. And I was like, this means a lot to me for reasons that I cannot explain.
Yeah, speaking of for reasons I cannot explain, will anyone be surprised that specifically within Discworld, it was the Guards novels that were really formative?
No, but they fucking rule, though, is the thing. Feet of Clay is easily one of my favorite of the Discworld series.
The thing is, right, if you don't really fit in society, the answer is to join the police.
That's yeah. What a fuck. I had some weird bloody choices as a child. I just absolutely ripped through Discworld. Absolutely fucking love the Discworld. Really enjoyed Moving Pictures as maybe my favorite Discworld book, but all of the Death ones, like Reaper Man, is fucking phenomenal. Soul Music I adore. Feet of Clay, as mentioned. Also, Monstrous Regiment is also extremely good.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a niche choice, but it's fantastic. Of just like a bunch of people all at war, each one of them discovering that all of them are women who have lied about being men to join the army. Like every single person is doing this.
I think my favorite Discworld might actually be Jingo, which is no one's favorite.
That's a fucking choice. You're not wrong. Thief of Time is also right up there. Fuck, I should just reread the Discworld series. Actually, I probably didn't get as much out of it as a child as I would now. Also, I read the Song of Ice and Fire series and had a great time with that. And I read a lot of the school library had a strange selection of books, but what it did have is a lot of the like Star Wars novels with like extended universe that was canon before Disney got to it. So like the Yuuzhan Vong War and everything like that.
You're like fully like little Dev is in the school library, like, yo, that's Glup Shitter.
I was like, yo, that's Glove Shitter. That's fucking Low Backer from the Star Wars Holiday Special, and he's a Jedi now. Yeah, but no, those were all of my favorites as a kid. Fuck. Speaking of Discworld, it's not a Discworld book, but Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Pratchett.
We're just gonna talk
really
about
good.
Pratchett for the rest of the hour, aren't we?
I wouldn't
Good.
want to isolate Abby. But just phenomenal books. Really massive fan of them. The Train Doctor.
I think the first instance of me ever running into the idea of a trans person or something like it in any kind of literature was one of the Discworld novels, was dwarves. You know,
It's a cheery little book.
I wish I'd had that kind of thing. You know, I remember this is off topic, but like I remember the first trans person I met when I was like 18 or 19, or that I knew of. And looking back now, I have a suspicion that the girl who used to sit next to me in chemistry was the childhood transitioner. But yeah, I remember the first like openly trans person I met when I was like 18, 19, and just been like, what? Like, no one ever told me this. Crazy. Britain!
wow.
Didn't know this was an option. Interesting. I'm going to think about this a lot forever.
Think about this for the next several years.
I tended to think of it for about a decade as like, oh, trans people exist in the same way that like astronauts exist.
Oh
like,
my god, yes.
Yeah,
Yes!
it's something that people can do.
Yeah.
It's not something I can do,
stupid
like
ass.
because it's like something you have to be like phenomenal, you have to be incredible, you have to be like almost angelically gifted. I remember the moment, the very moment, like far too late, that I realized this, that that's not true, right? Is I was getting deep Abbey lore today, like even after like knowing a lot of trans people, being friends with a lot of trans people, even after like dating a trans person for a long time, I still had this idea that like, well, it's something that like human beings can do, but you have to be like truly exceptional. And I went to see Kim Petras live, and I went with my good friend Jazza John, and honestly, I'm so sorry, Kim, if you're listening. Honestly, what was important to me was the gig was like kind of mid. Like it was the last one on the tour. She was clearly a bit tired. Her voice couldn't reach the back of the hall. And like she was sweating and she was out of breath. And like I would say the gig was good. It was like a 7 out of 10. But I was in the audience like, oh my God, like trans people, they're not like aliens from other. You don't have to be a kind of incredibly blessed angel in order to do this. It's something that humans can do. And therefore it's something that I could do. And they're like, okay, I kind of have to do this now. Like, wow.
It's kind of a mixed bag, but occasionally I get messages from people who are like very encouraged by the fact that I have not really done any voice work whatsoever, and I still primarily make a living with my voice as a trans person, as a trans woman.
Your voice is great.
I absolutely love it myself.
I love that.
Thank you. But like as a thing that is like, no, you don't have to do anything really that you don't want to. Least of all, like, you know, change something about yourself that you like. You know?
That's right.
Only change the things that bother you on your good days was some great advice that I once got from friend of the show, Paris Lees.
That's so cool. All right, let's wildly shift from quite a heavy question to just a very light one, which is Train Doctor asks, what's each host's favorite candy?
Ooh.
That's really
Reese's
tough
peanut butter
because
cups.
if you know me at
I
all, you
love
know
those
that I have
bastards.
an incredibly sweet tooth. Genuinely, it's so sort of like Catholic small c for me. I like anything sweet so much that it's very difficult for me to pick out. In terms of like processed food, genuinely, I think that just a plain Milka chocolate bar is one of the best things that like humanity has yet devised.
Gosh, you're not even wrong.
It's genuinely up there. Yeah.
I think for me, it's going to have to be something dark chocolate. It's a tough call between dark chocolate Brazil nuts, which I adore, and dark chocolate Kirsch cherries, which I
shit.
You like dark chocolate because you're a grown up, whereas the thing about me is that I'm 6 years old.
But I always have, even when I was a child, I liked dark chocolate cherries.
I'm like, no.
I got
too
some.
bitter.
I got my sister-in-law some chocolate covered cherries from the US a while ago, and I tried one. I was like, my God, these are good. But I really like the ones that you get like they're kind of got like Kirsch liqueur in them as well. I'm just like, oh, I'm a heroine in a Russian novel eating a dark chocolate boozy cherry and like reclining on a fur rug in front of a fire.
Anna Karenina, no, life is beautiful.
Fucking somebody I shouldn't, like, yeah.
I you know what I do like on that sort of train, I do really like a chocolate coated coffee bean. I find those to be extremely lovely. I
love them, but then I just eat them by the fistful and just get like caffeine palpitations.
Yeah, it's very nice. I got when I was a teacher, we had a little like secret Santa thing, and the lass who got me was one of my Bezzy mates at the school, Dr. Beverly Gabbert. Wonderful woman, just fantastic. Was only in 3 days a week, and I missed her the entire rest of the time. But she got me a bunch of those because everyone got given like a little Q&A to fill out, like a questionnaire about what your favorite stuff is to give people like prompts. And she just like took this list and like each one of it was like, what's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? And she was like, great, I'll just give them all to him. I'll just like get that entire group. Him at that time. I just get that entire fucking list and just go, there you go.
Ding.
Ding.
Look. Fuck! I'm allowed. No one else is. No one else is.
The joke that I made to you at lunch the other day was everybody gets one apart from me who gets infinity.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like I've had an entire transition, and what's essentially happened is that I had a hero's journey, and now I'm just back at the start again, but with like
you've returned,
my entire self irrevocably changed. But, like I could just drop back to he him, and it would be nothing. But I'm not going to because I did the journey.
No.
So, and also, I've got a tattoo in my fucking hands. So.
Also, then we'd have to fire you from the podcast.
That's true. That is true. No sis guests.
We would not do that. To be clear,
what you're doing is a T.S. Eliot thing. You know, at the end of all your exploring, you arrive where you started and know the place for the first time. Right.
That's right.
Wherever you go, there you are.
That's it, baby. Michael Seth asks, what is your favorite piece of media that you've consumed in the past year that wasn't for a podcast?
Oh, God, that's a really
we
good
consume
question.
a lot of media just for podcasts.
And also, when I do consume media that I like, I tend to be like, we should do this on the podcast.
Opening up a list of recent Kindle books.
Here are some movies I've watched recently that I really liked, but I wouldn't do on the podcast. I watched Mad Max Fury Road, the one that's in black and white, like the black and chrome edition, which fucking rules. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I loved. Mm-hmm. The Massive Weight of Unbearable Talent or something like that is fantastic. The Nick Cage movie. Absolutely love it. Pig as well. We could maybe do Pig on the pod.
Yeah. But books that I've read in the last year that I highly recommend. I highly recommend Laurent Binet's HHHH. Eric Vuillard's The Order of the Day, if you want to double up on sort of like French literature that's like quite philosophical about fascism and Nazis. On a sort of like lighter note, I read pretty much all of Lindsay Davis's Falco, like Roman private detective novels, and I really, really enjoyed those a lot. And if you just want like one individual book to pick out, fiction, La Vie Tita's A Man Lies Dreaming, which is also a private detective novel. Non-fiction, Emma Sutherland's A Fatal Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. If you can just pick out a couple of my interests there in terms of like ancient Rome and Nazis, I guess.
I went to see recently at the cinema See How They Run, which I quite enjoyed. I like Sam Rockwell. That's a film that we probably wouldn't do on the podcast, but I did quite like it. It was a nice sort of 90-minute murder mystery comedy.
I watched Dragon Ball Super Superhero, and I found that to be quite fun.
Really?
Spy Family was really
very
good.
high at the time.
Okay.
I went to a cinema and ate an edible on the way over.
Okay.
Spy Family's really good. Licorice Recoil's really good.
I recently rewatched the Hulu series of Catch-22 that George Clooney directed. Seriously good. Really like the novel. I rewatched it for Philosophy Tube because I'm going to use some clips and motifs from it, but it is genuinely very good. I think in terms of books, Paris Lee's What It Feels Like for a Girl. I mentioned it on Philosophy Tube. I think I'm biased because Paris is one of my best friends, but also like I really, really enjoyed her book before we became friends. Genuinely, I think it is one of the best pieces of queer art I have ever consumed of any form, and I think it should be taught to I think kids should do that book at GCSE because it is genuinely not just as a story but as a work of art. I think it's a work of genuine genius. And I think in a just country, in a country that wouldn't be fucking weird about a trans woman's book being on school curricula, I do think it should be taught in schools because it is fantastic.
In terms of books, all right, in terms of anime, actually, because you mentioned Spy Family. Spy Family is very good. Currently airing are 3 animes that are all really fucking good. The new Gundam series, The Witch from Mercury, is extremely good. One. Yep, it's gay. They decided to finally make a Gundam series that's textually gay instead of just subtextually extremely gay. That one's just fucking great. The new series of Mob Psycho is airing, and that's one of my favorite animes of all time. And Chainsaw Man is looking promising to me. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but it's looking promising.
I still have to know what happens at the end of Attack on Titan. I just can't.
I'm waiting for
final bit. I'm come
Where are you,
on.
baby? Come on, give me that shit. What else? In terms of books, I have over the last year read every book that China Mainville has written, and they're all fucking great.
The City
Kraken
in the City is my
phenomenal.
favorite.
City in the City is the one I read first. It got me into him. Iron Council is fantastic, and Embassy Town is just a fucking work of art. Beautiful. And I've also,
fuck.
I'm sorry.
Books. Pale Fire by Vladimir Nabokov. I'm a big Nabokov head, but genuinely, I really liked Pale Fire. I don't think it's quite as good as Arda, but I do think it's better than Lolita. But yeah, Pale Fire, really, really fucking good. Check that out.
Cool. And then finally, in terms of books for me, I have also read all of the Ian M. Banks culture novels. I really enjoyed Look to Windward. I think is probably my favorite of them.
Mine is
Succession
of those is a player of games. Ooh. Actually. Because I think it says a lot about our society.
It really does. Is the thing?
No, but genuinely, yeah. I think about anytime I see some sort of new active brutality that becomes part of our mass culture. I think about Player of Games, and I think about Margaret Atwood's Oryx and Crake, in which sort of mass culture is totally brutal, is totally sadistic, and I like that a lot. I'm not a huge Atwood fan. But yeah, I like Oryx and Crake, and I think it's very prescient in that way, in a way about environmentalism. People talk about The Handmaid's Tale, and yes, certainly. However, there are very good critiques of that sort of its limits. But I think Oryx and Crake is sort of slept on. If you're talking about TV, which we may as well,
I have not. I've not watched any TV. I don't think.
I watch a lot of foreign TV because I think that it makes me smart and fancy. And so I highly recommend this is not a brand endorsement as such, but Channel 4, if you're in the UK, Channel 4's on-demand service has a thing called, they branded it as Water Presents. Which is their foreign dramas. It's got Deutschland 83 and its subsequent series on there. Those are really good. I made a joke about that series on a thing that 5 people would have got. It's also got an Italian series called Il Cacciatore about the mafia that's really good. And on Amazon, I saw this Spanish thing called Un Asunto Privado with Jean Reno. That's fun, and which I like because the central message of it is, if society does not accept you, if you don't feel accepted by society, you should become a cop and you should join the police.
It's a lot of media you've recommended.
Themes.
There is a TV series coming out next year in February on Sky and on Catelia called Django. Which listeners, I think you should check that out. You might recognize one of the performers in that series. The trailer.
Is it going to tell me to call to join the police?
No, the first trailer dropped. I think a couple of weeks ago.
Really good trailer.
Yeah,
it's a really good trailer.
Yeah, it's fucking sick, man. I'm so excited for it.
I'm
you
so
can see the back of my head
good.
briefly, and my voice has the first line in the trailer, which is cute. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's gonna be weird. I'm gonna have to look at that with my old face. Because it's before my face just did that thing that it did.
That's right.
I've got to look into getting my face to do that.
To just do that thing that it did on its own, yeah.
To just do the thing.
Yeah. Sometimes faces just do that.
Specifically, I wanted to do the thing to look a bit more like Anna Chancellor.
You're gonna get facial masculinization surgery.
Well, I've talked to you before about the surgery to become Italian, right? The Roman nose surgery that I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Roman nose but backwards, where you get given a Roman nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at all the like timelines of people who have had their like Roman noses, their aquiline noses like reduced, and I'm like backwards.
Yeah.
Get
Return with a B.
backwards.
I'm still
Yes.
like so it's been 10 months I think since, or like 9 months since my face just did that. And I've been chatting to some other people who've had it done like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and they're like, it keeps changing over like the next 18 months. So I'm my face still isn't finished doing that thing that it's going to do.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I think you look fantastic. I really do.
Yes, co-signed very much.
This is a question here, but it doesn't really require much of an answer. So, Mark, I just want to flag it up so that it's a thing that we've said on the record here. Marco says, "Hi, big fan of the show. This might be a silly question, but it's something I'm genuinely curious about. Why are there not
Yes,
flips?"
you're transgender.
You listening to this now?
Pointing directly at the camera. You are trans. No, shit. No, don't worry. It's a gift. Why are there not clips of KJB on YouTube in the same way that there are of other shows? Does it just not have a large enough video editor fan base, or is it something you actively don't want to have?
It's shit work, and like neither me nor I suspect Abby want to do it. Therefore, we would have to make Dev do it, and we don't want to do that to our friend.
Yeah. Could we maybe hire somebody for like 1 or 2 days a month to take the clips and like turn them into TikToks and stuff? Like,
Yeah,
TikTok.
TikToks, or like, because Trash Future is on YouTube now, which is something that I do, and I have been weighing starting to put Kill James Bonds on YouTube, but I would have to like start at the start.
yeah, well, we would hire us. I think it would be like hiring a social media assistant, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would probably be a bit of an upfront cost because as they uploaded the backlog, but then after that, it would be like a part-time thing, like 1 or 2 days a month. So we could conceivably do it.
We could do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Abby knows much more about YouTube than either of us. It's got a plaque, even. So,
but also, if you're like a fan and you want to do a...
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Actually got 2 bloody plaques.
What?
Sorry, that was just
I enjoyed
such a
the
funny thing.
pointer very much. The fucking telescopic
did.
Oh,
pointer
sorry. This
that you just had.
is a prop for the next philosophy tube that I've just been playing with.
Just got a telescopic pointer and
Yeah,
used it to point at a fucking YouTube
It was
plaques.
it was very sort of like a bridge too far, which is, by the way, high on the list of movies that I want to do. Not least for the fucking accents in that movie.
Yeah, but also if you're a fan and you want to just like create compilations or something like that,
Yeah,
that's
or, like,
completely acceptable.
Kill James
We're
Bond
not-
animated, or like, just go wild. Like, we're not.
Go
pushing.
ape shit.
If you want to do the thing that an absolute legend did for Leisure Problem and animate.
Yeah, I
bits
love
of
that.
Yeah,
That's
the
incredible.
World Leisure Problem animator is so good.
Yeah, I love that.
Genuinely, if you can search World Leisure Problem animated on YouTube and see some of them, or if you just want to see like compilations of like 1 hour of Abby being a legend, which is just the previous hour, then go ahead, fill your boots.
I actually do have some compilations of Abby. So
I need libel.
Yeah, which is where I was getting like
Hello, my name's Abigail.
I was getting all of my little clips of you that we use when you're not here to do a bit.
No, I'm gonna fucking kill that cunt.
Mongo.
Mongo's here. Got a Mongo, everybody.
Gorgeous. Well, I've only got the one question left, so may as well
Please.
crack on with that one. Skate Bush, who asks, what is...
Nice.
Well done.
Skating up that hill
Well done. Well done.
Skate
Well done.
Bush is so good.
to make a deal with Skate God.
Skate God. What is the funniest
it's just
thing that
regular
each
God wearing Thrasher.
of you- God damn it. Skating up that hill. What's the funniest thing that each of your co-hosts have done or said? Not necessarily from the podcast.
Ooh, that's a difficult one.
That's really tough.
It's the thing is that we're all very good friends in real life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on here. Many things I can't repeat, but the funniest,
Yeah.
the Abby thing that still like properly cracks me up is the rant at the halfway point of the Cars 2 episode about why the ambulance exists.
Yeah, what do you for? Conversely, my favorite Devon moment, still always and forever, Spectre 11.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been
You
chasing
had
that fucking
sex
high.
with this man.
Sex with this man.
The 11th most senior member of a fucking world-spanning criminal organization. Unfucking real.
Yeah.
I still really enjoy the Devon. The will you commit to this program? I just thought that was such a good find for a bit. So excellent.
Oh, I can
my
favorite
Abby bit is actually from when you guessed it on Well, There's Your Problem, and it was a bit that you pulled off very successfully that actually got by me by stealth until like halfway into the episode, where you were joking about being younger, but you made yourself younger each time until by the end of the episode you're like, as a 6-year-old.
Oh, that's really good.
That too. I love listening to Well, There's Your Problem. I think my favorite all-time Alice moment though was a Twitter thing. I think the woke landlord beef and the pedophiles beef is still some of my favorite things that you've ever done. It's just the week that you just spent like just abusing pedophiles on Twitter.
Yeah, just choosing violence, you know?
So good, man.
funny.
So fucking good.
It was so good.
My favorite Alice Twitter moment, and you can Alice has quite a backlog of tweets. If you're ever stuck for something to do, just search from Alice Alexandum and then a keyword, and it's always so good. But my favorite is your shit. It's 2. Okay, I like your John Wick thread. I think that's still fucking phenomenal.
When we get to the problem, when we get to the John Wick series, which we're gonna have to do, is how the fuck I do those movies without recapitulating that entire thread.
Lawrence Fishburne brackets laughs uproariously, just like, and the like historical one about Elon de Musk or something. Fucking good.
How doth he have flask but by mine generosity is that's really, really good.
Girls' Night. Oh, I just absolutely adore the two
Girls'
of you.
Night was really funny. Yeah, I genuinely. It's such a delight. It never feels like work.
Although my favorite moment on the whole podcast was still the James Bond Muppet. The Muppet.
Oh, it's so good. We could have kept that bit going for like 5
more minutes. You Only Live Twice was like you only Live Twice episode is still one of my favorites because like we
oh yeah.
I remember Devon on that one being like, "That's a gay gun for women." Idiot.
Reminded me of another favorite Abby moment. I could do this for an hour because I just love YouTube so much. Is Spitz Pedo John.
Oh my god.
I totally forgot about that.
Away lads, pure Spitz Pedo John like is stuck in my fucking mind. So
the fucking like turbo Geordie resurgence there, yeah. 100%.
Wait, I think Geordie Bond was one of my I was happy about.
It was really good.
Yeah, it's good.
I think my favorite moment
I'm gonna re-listen to the Pedo John one soon.
Doing this podcast was the moment on stage for No Time to Die where we fucking got him, because genuinely that felt like the sort of the apex, you know, because we couldn't have done it without you, the listener, you, the audience, and it just felt like everything came together like so beautifully at that moment that I was really, really happy with it.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
we gotta go back to
This is the kitchen gun riff. It just kept going. Hugh Dennis getting fucking murdered. Yeah,
perfect,
good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Well, on that note, what a high note to go
tell
out.
us about like James Bond seeing the Book of Mormon.
Yes, because he must have done, because he fucking referenced it. Oh my god!
Another thing I love, Dev, is the little previews, and I think one of my favorite Twitter previews that you've made in an episode was it the one from Spectre where he dives through the window?
Yeah, where he dives through the
way you edited that was so fucking good.
I fucking love video editing, actually, man. It's so much fun.
Yeah. I just love your editing style, Dev. Both like video and audio. The way that you kind of just make yourself known as an unseen or unheard presence when you edit, I just think is really inspired.
That's absolute treat to hear from you. I really like having a tangible voice when I edit something. It's one of the only reasons I agreed to do Well As Your Problem was because I was like, hey, shit, I could do visual bits.
Totally, 100%. We're very glad to have you and have you do it. But I would say after 25 Bond movies and fuck knows what else, the state of the podcast remains strong, strength to strength. And thank you to all of you for listening, subscribing if you do subscribe, retweeting, boosting on social media, all of this. I would still do it if it weren't popular, if it weren't successful. I would still have fun doing it. But the fact that it is just, a beautiful sort of extra gift.
Thank you for committing to this program.
Thank you for committing to this program with us.
That's right. And remember, all of us are real life friends with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're also sexually available.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
We are. We're
all
frankly,
single. Yeah, we're all single.
Yeah.
Frankly, you're looking amazing today.
Listener, you're so hot today.
That's right.
I miss you, Anon. The listener's just like the green faceless Anon. Yeah. Podcaster GF. Yeah.
That's
Podcaster GF.
God, that's just such like a curse thing.
Fucked vibes, GF. Well, see ya.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Fuck off.
Fuck off.
Fuck off.
No, I'm gonna fucking kill that cunt.
Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Kill James Bond. I don't remember what we said in this one. I gotta be honest with you. I'm recording this a little bit after the fact, but I'm pretty sure that it was good. And I stand by everything I said. I will never back down, even if I don't remember what it was. Next week, on the free feed, as indeed everything is during the winter of content, the first of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. films, and that is To Trap a Spy from 1964. Of course, during this period, you don't have to be a patron. You will still get all of the content because it costs a lot to be alive right now. But this is a really difficult segue. But if you chuck us £15, you can join these hallowed halls: Christine Fox, Amanda Comet, Fawkes Winchester, Gustavo Lira, Jack Holmes, Payne McCalla, George Roack, Thomas Oberhardt, Nick Boris, Yarrick, Nate Amori, Harriet DeCock, Coconut Crab, Corios, Benno Rice, Kit Devine, Library Hitman, Beef Crime, Callan Burney, Jonathan Gerdes, Jack Drummond, Max Gamenhart, Kentucky Fried Commie, Hell Bloodhands, J. Martindale Top O, Lysamesh, Jonathan Siegel, Big Titty Goth Girl, Mothman, Final Bond Girl, Harrison Fuller, Trip, Commissar Jen, Sydney Steckel, Tiger Otakuch, Ollie Out of a Closet, Pauline, Will You Marry Jenna, Saphira Lucifer, Danny Potter, Turfs Eat Shit and Die Alone, Zoe Shepherd, Elizabeth Cox, Finn Ross, Emily, friend of the show, Alfredo, Quinn Valeri, I Make Devon, Say This Out Loud, Wolfie, Big Old Boy, Ryo Leal, Al Irwing, Lucy Keeley, Josh Simmons, Lauren Bastin, Millie, and Bon LeBon. Thank you, each and every one of you, for helping this podcast exist. Kill James Bond is Alice, Abigail, and Devon. Our producer is the wonderful Nate Bethay. Our podcast art is by Matty Lubchansky. And our website is by Tom Allen. See ya.